At 11:32 p.m. over the Moscow refinery feed lines, the quiet industrial grid lay still under a late summer haze. Without warning, Polish Bayraktar TB2 drones, flanked by Su-25 strike jets and BWP-1 electronic warfare vehicles, ripped in from the northwest at over 400 miles per hour. Leopard 2A6 tanks and Vilka-M rocket batteries answered from 25 miles out, while compact bomb-carrying robots crept through maintenance trenches only a few feet below ground. This was no mere raid. It was a multi-axis precision strike meant to cripple Moscow's core fuel artery. In seconds, the calm would shatter and what followed would become a lesson in modern warfare. Don't take your eyes off the screen until the secret is revealed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about this battle in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Polish forces unleashed a full-spectrum opening blow. High above the refinery network, Bayraktar TB2 drones marked targets with laser designators while feeding live coordinates to Vilka-M rocket batteries 20 miles away. Within seconds, precision rockets rained down on fuel depots and main pumping stations, igniting fireballs that shot hundreds of feet into the air. On the ground, Leopard 2A6 tanks advanced through service corridors only a few feet beneath the hardened pipes, their 120mm cannons ready to repel counterfire. Behind the armored vanguard, compact bomb-carrying robots rolled forward, planting shaped charges along key valves and junctions to guarantee permanent disruption of the flow. Overhead, Patriot PAC-3 interceptors formed an invisible umbrella, striking down the first Russian Tornado-S salvos and MiG-31 intercept runs before they could threaten the assault columns. BWP-1 electronic warfare vehicles jammed every radar sweep within a 30-mile radius, scrambling Russian fire control data and delaying any coordinated response. The combined effect was a moving wall of flame and steel, closing off every approach to the refinery feed lines. By synchronizing sky-level precision with underground sabotage, Poland turned the opening phase into a textbook demonstration of multi-domain warfare, one that left Russia's western fuel artery reeling and set the stage for deeper, more punishing thrusts still to come. Even as the Polish wall of fire consumed the first pumping stations, Russia countered with a rapid, layered strike. From wooded clearings on Moscow's outer belt, swarms of reconnaissance drones, small, fast units no bigger than a pickup truck bed, lifted off and fanned across a 30-mile radius. Operating at nearly 300 miles per hour, they probed for the exact coordinates of the Leopard 2A6 spearheads and the concealed Vilka-M launch pads that had just ripped through the refinery feed lines. High above, MiG-31 interceptors streaked in at supersonic speed, their long-range missiles poised to cut down any Bayraktar TB2 that dared linger. Almost simultaneously, Tornado-S rocket batteries opened fire from 25 miles east, filling the night with the screech of 300mm rockets. Each barrage aimed to pin Polish armor under a curtain of steel, while the incoming drone data fed live targeting updates to T-90 meters tank platoons hidden in the low pine ridges south of the pipeline junction. The plan was clear: use unmanned eyes to guide heavy armor and saturate the battlefield before Polish units could regroup. But Poland's electronic warfare crews had prepared for this very play. From hardened BWP-1 command vehicles, operators pulsed broad-spectrum jamming across key Russian frequencies, from control uplinks to artillery guidance bands. Within minutes, half the drone swarm lost telemetry and drifted aimlessly. MiG-31 radars blinked with false echoes, forcing them to break off or risk wasting precious missiles on phantom targets. Tornado-S rockets denied real-time corrections, overshot their marks, and detonated harmlessly in empty scrubland. The combined effect was a blunt reversal of Moscow's counterpunch. Instead of a synchronized ambush, Russian moves devolved into scattered fire with no decisive weight. Polish tank columns pressed forward through the smoke, their formations still tight, while Bayraktar TB2 crews calmly updated target grids for the next wave. By turning Russia's prized reconnaissance drones into blind projectiles and breaking the data link to T-90 meters gun lines, Poland kept the initiative squarely in its hands, proof that in modern combat, information dominance can be as lethal as firepower. The smoke-filled corridor left by Russia's failed drone and rocket counterstrike gave Poland the perfect launch window for a fresh aerial assault. As MiG-31 interceptors regrouped for another run, a flight of Su-25 strike jets knifed downward from 12,000 feet, engines screaming as they dropped to barely 1.0 feet above the refinery grid. At over 500 miles per hour, they released dense curtains of chaff and magnesium flares, slicing the Russian radar picture into fragments. Screens inside Moscow's integrated air defense posts flashed with false returns, creating what one Polish pilot later called a sky full of ghosts. High above this chaotic dance, Bayraktar TB2 drones re-established their overwatch. Their infrared optics and encrypted data links relayed live MiG-31 positions to Patriot Pack, 3 fire control crews stationed 15 miles west of the refinery belt. Seconds later, Pennsylvania C-3 interceptors rocketed skyward at Mach 4, forming lethal cross patterns that caught the Russian jets in overlapping kill boxes. 2 interceptors found their mark, forcing the remaining MiGs to brake hard and retreat towards safer airspace. On the ground, the effect was immediate. With Russian fighters pulled off target and Tornado S batteries still reloading, Polish Leopard 2A6 tanks surged forward in 3 spearheads. Each column advanced behind an electronic shield thrown up by BWP-1 vehicles, moving through service trenches only a few feet below grade to minimize their thermal signature. Compact demolition robots followed in their wake, ready to plant shaped charges at key junctions of the main Moscow refinery feed lines. This seamless air-to-ground choreography turned the contested airspace into a Polish advantage. By coupling low-altitude Su-25 raids with long-range Patriot precision and Bayraktar real-time reconnaissance, Poland not only neutralized Moscow's intercept force, but also opened a protected corridor for its armor. Within minutes, Leopard crews were within 5 miles of the primary pumping hubs, closer than any enemy unit had come in decades. Russia's early counterattack had aimed to blind and delay, but now the tables flipped completely. The night sky, once alive with Russian radar sweeps, became a fractured, unreliable map. Each flicker of Polish flares and chaff drew the MiG -31 seconds farther from their targets, while every PAC-3 launch reaffirmed that Polish forces owned the upper air. As the last MiG vanished from radar, the ground columns tightened their ring, setting the stage for the next decisive phase of the campaign. With the sky battle tilted decisively in their favor, Polish commanders shifted to the underground phase of their plan. While Su-25 jets and Bayraktar TB2 drones maintained a circling guard overhead, specialized bomb-carrying robots began their silent crawl through the refinery's maintenance tunnels, service routes barely 4 feet high, and mapped in advance by reconnaissance swarms. Moving at less than 2 miles per hour to avoid vibration sensors, each robot carried a shaped charge payload designed to punch through reinforced steel valves in a single blast. Above ground, Leopard 2A6 tanks and BWP-1 electronic warfare vehicles provided both muscle and cover. From armored bays dug 6 feet deep, the BWP-1 crews pulsed broad-spectrum jamming that blacked out every Russian pressure alarm and thermal camera within a 10-mile circle. Operators described the refinery's control network as a blank screen, with gauges frozen even as sabotage unfolded beneath their feet. At precisely 2:17 a.m., the first robot reached a major pressure junction under the northern pumping complex. Guided by encrypted telemetry, it clamped its charge to the primary valve and sent the arming code. Seconds later, a chain of deep, concussive booms rippled outward. Steel conduits a yard thick snapped like kindling. Superheated fuel under 1,500 pounds per square inches blasted into the air, igniting a rolling wall of flame that leapt more than 300 feet high. Polish units exploited the chaos with disciplined precision. Additional robots detonated in sequence along adjacent feeder lines, while Leopard crews used 120mm cannon bursts to keep Russian repair teams pinned back. Overhead, Bayraktar TB2 seconds fed live imagery to confirm that every critical junction was collapsing. By 2:40 a.m., the northern fuel transfer station was an inferno visible for 40 miles. Entire pressure sectors of the Moscow refinery feed lines lost function, forcing emergency shutdowns across the grid. Yet Polish forces maintained humanitarian discipline, broadcasting evacuation corridors and guiding any surviving Russian technicians out through safe lanes. This subterranean strike, blending robotics, precision explosives, and electronic deception, was more than sabotage. It was the operational heart of Poland's campaign, proving that in modern warfare, the deadliest blow can come not from the sky, but from a few quiet machines working unseen, just a few feet below ground. The towering firestorms from the sabotaged northern feed lines jolted Russian command into a desperate all-out counteroffensive. From hardened depots just 12 miles south of the refinery grid, T-90 tank squadrons rolled out in tight assault wedges, while Tornado S batteries unleashed their heaviest 300mm rocket barrages yet. Overhead, MiG-31 interceptors multiplied their sorties, cutting through the night at nearly Mach 3 inches, an effort to claw back air control and halt the Polish advance. But Polish commanders had anticipated this surge. Rather than meeting the counterattack head-on, they fractured their main armor and artillery force into multiple micro-groups, each a mix of Leopard 2, A-6 tanks, self-propelled howitzers, and BWP-1 electronic warfare escorts. These units scattered across a 15-mile ring, shifting firing positions every few minutes. From hidden depressions and short woodland ridges, each cluster struck with quick 120mm cannon bursts or rapid 155mm artillery salvos before melting back into the haze. The effect on Russian gunners was immediate and frustrating. With every fresh Tornado S launch cycle taking minutes to reset, aiming solutions were outdated the moment they were computed. MiG-31 pilots, forced to chase flickering radar returns across a constantly changing map, burned precious fuel, and risked overextending beyond safe recovery ranges. Meanwhile, Bayraktar TB2 drones hovered far above, relaying the precise vectors of every T-90 maneuver to Patriot PAC-3 crews. Each time Russian armor attempted to mass for a decisive push, Pennsylvania's C-3 interceptors lanced down with pinpoint strikes, cracking open columns and scattering survivors back toward their starting lines. By 3:15 a.m., the once cohesive Russian counteroffensive had devolved into a series of isolated skirmishes. Polish fire teams held the initiative, their rapid-fire repositioning turning the battlefield into a deadly shell game. Every mile Russia sought to reclaim became a mirage. Every target, a moving shadow. The encirclement was nearly complete, and the momentum of the night now flowed entirely toward the final destruction of Moscow's critical refinery corridor. By the time the fragmented Russian counterattack sputtered out, the damage beneath the battlefield was irreversible. Successive detonations from the underground robot teams had already ruptured every main artery of the Moscow refinery feed lines. Pressure valves that once pumped thousands of gallons per minute now lay in twisted heaps, while control rooms 60 feet below ground went dark as their circuits fried. Central command screens showed only black squares and frozen numbers. Polish armored units tightened their encirclement just long enough to guarantee there would be no last-minute repairs, then shifted to humanitarian mode. Loudspeakers in Polish and Russian broadcast safe corridors toward the western perimeter. Wounded refinery technicians and captured soldiers were guided out under escort, proving that the mission targeted war infrastructure, not human lives. As dawn neared, the once bright fuel complex stood silent. Its fires reduced to smoldering pillars, and its strategic lifeblood completely shut off. As the last evacuees cleared the safe corridors, the Moscow refinery feed lines lay in eerie silence. Key pumping hubs were gutted, reserve tanks still burned in isolated bursts, and Russia's main western fuel artery was severed. Strategically, Moscow now faces the costly task of hauling missile fuel hundreds of miles from backup depots, eroding its rapid strike reach and exposing fresh weak points. Yet a deeper question endures. If even this hardened energy spine can be cut, what critical hub inside Russia is truly safe? Dawn's towering smoke column sealed a precise, humane Polish victory and a